Luka Doncic is now a Los Angeles Laker in perhaps the craziest trade in NBA history. Never before have two All NBA players been traded for each other mid-season. And I was asleep when this happened, but I checked my phone in the morning, and the first text I see is from one of my friends telling me there's no way that the Dallas Mavericks just traded away Luka Doncic, and I do not believe it at first. And then I get a text from someone else, and it is a post from Shams saying that he's been traded to the Lakers of all teams for Anthony Davis. And so my initial reaction at first, I thought it was fake, and then the most reputable source in the NBA goes out and posts it, and so I have to acknowledge now that it is real because you especially know it's not a hack because now other people are posting it too. And so now I'm thinking Luka Doncic must have requested a trade, right? No, no, he did not. He was blindsided by this, even on the Lakers end. LeBron James, who has been criticized so often in the past for kind of being like a GM, was not aware of the situation. He found out at dinner with his family following their game. Now, I have had my criticisms of Luka Doncic in the past, but he is still a top three player in the entire league. And it mainly just comes down to his conditioning and his effort on the defensive end. And the Mavs GM has kind of come out with a couple statements kind of saying the same thing and kind of trying to justify the trade that he made. But in my mind, this kind of feels like a little bit of an overcorrection if you're the Dallas Mavericks GM. Because yes, it's fair to say that he hasn't had the best conditioning. It seems like every season he comes into the new year not necessarily in the best shape and ready to play 82 games. But he's still one of the best players in the world, giving you over 30 points, 9 boards, 9 assists a night. A top 3 player in the entire world. And so, if you're the Dallas Mavericks, this kind of feels like an overcorrection to me. This is like if you're driving with your friend and they go off, swerve off to the right a little bit, they go off roading a little bit. Maybe there's a low shoulder, maybe there's no shoulder. And so, in response to that, they go as hard as they can left, and now you're facing oncoming traffic. That's what it feels like if you're the Dallas Mavericks, in my opinion, in overcorrection in every sense of the word. Because we've seen it with the Golden State Warriors, in terms of having a non-defensive minded stud offensive engine at point guard in Stephen Curry, and if you're able to surround him with very good defenders, you can make up for his lack of capabilities on that end. And I thought that's kind of what the Dallas Mavericks did last year. They got, PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively. That was a great set of guys to have around Luka Doncic, and they made it to the Western Conference Finals in their first year together. And with that, I kind of had hope going into this year. There's always the expectation for Luka Doncic that he's going to be the MVP. It seems like every year that's what the media is saying. But this year I kind of thought it was going to be a two-guard race between him and SGA because of what I saw from the Mavericks last year, and that was Luka could be a serviceable defender, not a complete liability if he had the right guys around him. And I thought this could be, a continuation of what they did last year. But they go out and they trade him, and it's crazy. LeBron was also blindsided, and that's of course someone you always want to keep happy. And that's LeBron may not be the first option for the first time in his career. We always thought he was kind of going to pass the torch on to AD. That never truly happened. And it was always ultimately the LeBron show. That's who they went to in crucial moments because, of course, he is a top 2 player in NBA history, so it makes sense. But now you've got Luka Doncic, who is just 26 years old, been a 5-time All NBA member, 5-time All Star ever since his sophomore year. That's certainly going to be an interesting dynamic. And with the NBA, what we've seen in recent years is kind of that patience is key. You look at the Timberwolves; they're not having a great year this year, but you look at last year and also the year before that, their first year that they had Rudy Gobert on the team, it was a major, major adjustment. They didn't do very well. The second year, they're one of the best teams in the Western Conference. And what we're seeing now, the Boston Celtics are your most recent NBA champions. They, yes, they made trades for guys like Porzingis or Drew Holiday, but their top 2 guys that they always went to were Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. So what we're seeing recently in the NBA is that teams are having to be more patient, and these blockbuster trades don't always immediately work. The NBA is a little bit more of a patient game now, And so, making this trade mid-season, I don't know what the implications are this year. It's certainly going to be interesting to watch, but I think we're going to really see the ramifications of it next year. But anyways, this is just absolutely crazy trade. We'll go into the X and O's about it in a couple of days. I just wanted to get something out here. Insane trade. I did not think it was real at first. Luka Doncic is a Laker. Anthony Davis is a Maverick. This shakes up the NBA in ways that no transaction perhaps ever has before. And that is all for today's episode of State of the Association. Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Nash Roberts.